I know there are many of us out there that are fighting with personal addictions to sugar, alcohol, drugs, medicinal dependencies, right? Porn, just bad habits, oversleeping, Netflix, watching movies all day, and simply wasting time. You think about these vices, these addictions, and how much time it takes away. Social media is another big one. There's a there's a direct correlation when it comes to dopamine. We're all searching for that dopamine hit. Even myself, I'm not immune to it, but I do know that me showing up in this fashion, this manner, I am experiencing a different kind of dopamine that supersedes and is the King Kong and the Godzilla of all those vices. And you heard me, that's right. I truly believe and I feel it. I am a testament, a living example of what it takes to finally get to that finish line of breaking the habit and enjoying a sober, a clean life. Now, I'm not saying that I'm completely alcohol free, but I am now to a point where I can enjoy my drinks. The same thing that crippled me and almost took my life away, alcohol. And I'm talking about everything: liquor, hard liquor, light beer, hard beer, IPA, whiskey, wine. I mean, you name it, it's all there. Vodka, rum, gin. I mean, I talk about mixing it and trying to maximize it, mixing Xanax, right? The anxiety medication, all of these things, right? This is what I'm talking about, folks. This is serious stuff. And I know some of you may be still stuck there, right? And the funny thing about all of this also, in an educational moment, it's funny and educational and interesting, but this was an accident. And I discovered myself that during these walks, I would still return to my walking sessions. And even while I was buzzed in these over the years, even while I was, half foggy, sleepwalked, I feel like half my life. And just to add context, I have a lot of stories on my channel about my backstory, right? My life, my history. So I come from a household, a terminally ill parent household. My father got Parkinson's at age 35. At that time, I'm a Gen Xer. I'm 49 years old. And I talk about that, my age and all of that on this channel. I know some of you don't believe it, but I am. So I'm a generational X. And us generational X, we come from a different time. All this stuff we see in modern day society today and the things that we see you all complain about, you don't know how good you all have it, man. Even millennials, I think you guys even have an idea. You were the next generation after that. So, I come from that generation where we saw a lot, we've been through a lot. We can compare the past, the present, the future. I don't know everything, I don't claim to know everything, but I have a perspective, I have a lens. And it's through that lens I speak. And it's through that lens I try to bring an honest, true value to my content. So when you grow up in that kind of household, and then you combine it with a crazy mother, right? And I'm talking about like she was a crazy bee. And the delusional factor never fades. She's nearly 80. But she still walks around and thinks that she's God's gift to men. Like, come on, man, you're a grandmother now. Like, you're done. I'm not trying to be mean. It's a reality. Like, some human beings just never learn, And there are videos on this on my channel, but she treated my father very poorly, even before he got the condition. So I don't have a relationship with her. So, I was lucky to have found a bunch of good boys, like good buddies of mine when I was growing up, when I came to America. And as a dancer, my dance roots led me to join forces with a boy band in the Bay Area, California. And I met one of my best lifelong friends who's now fighting a health condition in California, and it's terminal. So I don't know how much time he has. So how could I not be walking and telling my stories, right? So I say all of that to say this is, even while I found my good friends and my boys, I didn't realize that I was actually falling into a world, a company as such, right? Companionship, a brotherhood that would serve me well lifetimes over, but they didn't even know that this was a problem, which is excessive alcohol drinking and the abuse. Of course, they were local superstars, and they were a big thing. They were a big deal back in the day, touring the Bay Area. And I came along and I introduced a whole different set of routines. And eventually I became the lead choreographer. And I introduced hip hop, never seen before, a style never seen before, a swag, the energy, the Mamba mentality. And I introduced capoeira in that. So I fused capoeira, Brazil capoeira, and that's my story. So hip hop and capoeira, and I would battle other dances that became my staple. And with that came the highs and the lows of being in the limelight, doing shows. Later on, I would venture off to do my own solo R&B. I started to sing a little bit. I had a lot of rhythm. I could write songs, and I still can actually. So I just don't do it for free anymore. And there's honestly, as a musician, there's no money in it, which is why now I'm into acting, modeling. It's more realistic, and it ages like fine wine. Is because you can always be making music, but there's a good chance I can land a gig. I'm actually actively auditioning in Las Vegas, Nevada. So all of that to say this in context, and my backstory is that alcohol addiction was a big deal in my life, and what I ended up doing is walking a lot, even while I was drunk, even while I had a hangover the next day, even while I came home from all these shows, even while I toured. Sometimes I even did these shows while I was half drunk, and I don't know how I finished my dance routines, and choreography, and even sang my songs on stage, and still came home, slept, woke up, hungover next day, and I walked. Uh, Obviously, there was a relationship there. Me walking, movement. I always would move forward, and sometimes these were depressing walks. Sometimes I didn't even know why I walked, but I knew somehow, my body knew, just my mind and body just, I just put my headphones on and I started walking. It was the best thing. And I slowly found myself feeling better. It shouldn't be a surprise, right? Walking, feeling better, fighting the hangover. A lot of people would say, how could you walk after being hungover? I was like, yeah, exactly. And I just grab myself some water and walk. So over the years, as I continued walking and talking to myself, today I won't talk to the camera, but as I talked to myself back in the day, you know, these walks started telling me, revealing itself that, hey, is this the life you want to live? Is this sustainable? Can you continue this lifestyle? And of course, I knew the resounding answer to all of this was, hell no, you can't. You're gonna die. And I think I was in a course collision to end my life early, if I'm being honest. I think we've all been there, right? Uh, Simply put, the power of snapping out of it happened in a walk like this. I think it was my early 40s where I finally, my ex-girlfriend called it out, and she had called it out before, but I've mentioned this in my earlier videos, is that she said, hey, Renil, you have no chill when it comes to alcohol, even till today, huh? And we broke up like many years ago. I was about 41, 42. I know it sounds old, huh? I'm 49 now, but 7 years, 8 years ago. And she said, you're still the same. Because, yeah, you're just in a little bit better shape, but you got alcohol weight, and you could be in better shape, but you're not going to make it past the next 5, 6 years if you continue this. So I lost the concept of time. Does that make sense? That's what alcohol does. That's what addictions do. You don't realize that you're aging. You don't realize that your organs in your body, your mind, everything inside you that's alcohol is touching is poisoning you, and it's killing you slowly. You are taking your own life, but you don't know it. It's slow. It creeps up on you. Then it impacts your diet. You make horrible choices with your food, and you just somehow think that you'll wake up the next day. I think there's been many, many moments where I almost didn't wake up the next day. And I didn't care about waking up the next day. Does that make sense? Am I leaving you clues? Yes, I tried ending myself. I tried ending myself without even knowing it. And oddly enough, I didn't really care if it had happened. But I think, I'm lucky to be here and talking this way and telling my story about how these walks have tremendously helped my life. It's heavy, huh? But it's also liberating to talk about, because I know that deep down inside, there's someone out there like me fighting their own battles and looking for that authentic story, that connectivity, connection, right? And looking for people like this, because the internet and social media today is filled with, facade, and everyone's doing fine. Everyone's not doing fine. I'm not 100% okay either. But why would I complain if I have the opportunity to walk this way? Why would I complain if I have my health, right? If you think you got it tough, you know, symbolically, right? Try walking in someone else's shoes who's fighting a terminally ill condition, and try to swap and walk a day in their shoes to see if they would give up their life to walk in your shoes. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, right? They would swap in a heartbeat if all they had to do every day was walk. Like right now, you saw the senior citizen lady. I don't want to say it too loud, be respectful, but she's walking, So I think there's many of us that take this for granted. Many of us take this activity for granted. But I think, the joke I have is that you don't need a therapy, because these pathways, these roads, the gravel, right, the rocks, the environment, nature, all of this. Essentially, this is your therapy. This is your doctor, and this is your prescription. So if someone were to say that, hey, this is your life sentence, in order to get another day, what decisions would you make, and would you walk every single day? The answer should be yes, I would. If someone took you and was hanging you outside of a skyscraper, 30-foot, 50-foot building, and gave you the choice, what would you do? You would say yes. You would die, anything to walk, right? And so this is how walking really played a significant role in my life, and even today, at an older age, lived over half my life. Here it is, and I feel fresh as ever. I don't have any desire for alcohol. I don't have any desire for the very poison that killed me, but I no longer think that it has control of my life, and I can actually sit with it now, and I can respect what it is. I can respect what it does. In that sense, it's a social drink, but you got to know how to control it. And it's not the enemy. It's your relationship with alcohol that's the enemy. A lot of times we are in that position of just, being wasted, is because we are all running away from something. We're running away from ourselves, And if you bring that to this, what I'm doing here, why not walk toward the real you? What are we afraid of? What are you so afraid of showing, right? It's yourself. That's it. We are all afraid to show ourselves, to be ourselves, to deal with ourselves. And we're not weird. You are not weird. We all have issues. We all have unresolved pain, unresolved trauma. And no one's responsible for facing them but you. We cannot project onto others to come rescue us. When you find that special someone, they are not responsible for you. because you guys met as independent people. I don't agree with the fact that one completes the other. No, you are your whole self, and that person is their whole self. You both are responsible for your happiness without each other. That's how I look at life. That's how I look at life. And these walks, for me personally, have just really helped hit home these points that I'm bringing up here. I'm losing sunlight, folks. It's getting about the time where I'm about to wrap this up, turn around, and start making my final leg walk back home. So hopefully this helps those struggling, and I'm going to try to share more of my stories, because what good are these walks and not tying in my personal backstories and sharing these stories with you? Because when you when you are an OG or a Generation X, we all have stories, man. We all have stories. There's wisdom in all of these stories. There's wisdom in all of these stories. You're not weird. Maybe you're just not walking. Maybe it's time for you to walk. Till the next video. Mamba out.